students. Today we're going to get prepared for creating your actual PSA. So we're going to be talking about some different techniques for you to use to make sure that your PSA follows all the requirements for the assignment. So the first thing that you want to remember is that your PSA should attract attention and generate interest. You want your PSA to look as attractive as it can and also generate interest in people who may be looking at it. This means that you're going to have to use both design and the verbal elements in your argument. So the actual graphics and picture and the way that you format those things on the PSA and also the words that you include on your PSA are the things that are going to make attracting attention and generating interest happen. You also want to appeal to both hearts and minds. Your target audience, or you're going to target your audience using logos, pathos, or ethos, and we'll talk about those in just a few minutes. You're also going to need to provide reasons, so make your viewers believers of what you're talking about by using some specific or some fact on your actual PSA. And then you also want to call your reader or your viewer to action. Be specific. Say exactly what you want your reader to do. Do you want them to donate to your cause? Do you want them to visit a website? Do you want them to stop doing some type of behavior? So be specific in your call to action. So when we talk about appealing to the hearts and minds of our audience, you want to use pathos. So you want to appeal to the audience's emotions. So maybe using imagery or words that evoked feelings of guilt or fear or outrage or joy or any type of emotion. You want to evoke some type of emotion from your audience. You can use irony, you can use humor, but don't be offensive in the humor that you use. The goal is to get people to actually look at your PSA and not be so offended that they don't look at it. You also need to use logos. So use logic, meaning statistics, facts, information. You have to put some type of fact on your PSA, and this needs to be concise. Remember, PSAs are something that people look at quickly, so your text needs to be not a full paragraph, just some target words that are going to catch people's attention and that they'll have time to actually read. And then the last thing you need is ethos. You need to have a good reputation. And the way you establish that is by including a reliable source as a sponsor. In this instance, the source is going to be the advocacy group's logo and contact information. That is how people will know that your PSA is actually a legitimate PSA. You can have both visual and verbal elements, so imagery and words. They can be equal, but they don't have to be equal. Sometimes very powerful PSAs don't include a lot of imagery, they just include a few words. And vice versa. Sometimes they have more imagery and they don't have very many words. Both of those can be positive. So you do not have to have an equal amount of words and images. The images you use can be photographs, they could be illustrations, but you can also use just words to be an image. For example, I once had a student who was doing his PSA on suicide, and he used words to create a noose to portray one of the ways people commit suicide. And so that was his image. His image was formed by words. The words made this picture of a noose. So your images can also be words. The typeface, so the size and shape, will become the image if you're choosing that. The absence of an image can also deliver a very powerful message. Make sure that you provide words to explain why or how. Page 345 in your textbook will be really helpful for this portion of the PSA. The last thing that you're going to need is a call to action. So the main goal of your PSA is to get people to do something. This can take a few different forms. You can ask people to get more information. So something like visit our website for more info would be something you could put on the PSA. You can ask them to stop doing something. So maybe, you know, an anti-smoking or anti-drug use PSA. You can ask them to donate money or volunteer time. Or your call to action can be very specific. You want people to buckle up, use a seatbelt, or you want them to get out and vote, or don't drink and drive. So you definitely need a call to action on your PSA.